Let's get nutty. Today is a great day for some baklava. This dessert is flaky, nutty, buttery, and so delicious. It doesn't require a lot of precise measurements, so it is super simple and fun to make. In fact, this dish is so simple, I can list all 7 ingredients I'll be using right off the top of my head. All we'll need is chopped nuts, cinnamon, sugar, butter, honey, vanilla, and phyllo dough. If you're confused about that last one, it's the thin papery dough that gives baklava its crispy texture. You can find it in the refrigerated dough or frozen pie crust section of your grocery store. We can really use any kind of nuts that you like for this dessert. I'm using a mixture of pistachios that I've already deshelled and some walnuts. We will need about a pound in total, and for me that equaled out to be about a cup of pistachios after being deshelled and a cup and a half of walnuts. It's at this point we can preheat the oven to 350 degrees while we prepare the rest. While we're waiting for the oven to preheat, there are a few things that we can do to instantly improve our nut mixture. I've added about a quarter cup of sugar that I'm going to stir in, which will help caramelize the nuts in the oven. We can also, at this point, add a dash of cinnamon for extra flavoring. We'll need to prepare our pan for the dough. Don't worry, we'll get to the dough in a second. I'm actually using just a bread pan for our recipe today, though you can use a square baking dish or whatever you have available. Just need to make sure to grease up the pan that we're using so that the baklava doesn't burn and stick to it. We'll start with about 10 layers of the phyllo dough at the bottom of our greased pan. After that, we need to melt some extra butter to layer the other components of our dish. And from here, we'll proceed to layer the phyllo dough, butter, and then the nuts again. Once you've repeated the stacking pattern a few times, we're ready to put this in the oven. It should be heated up to 350 degrees for 50, yes, 50 minutes. I know that sounds like a long time, but it'll be okay, promise. While we're waiting for the baklava to finish baking, hey, you look great today. Don't forget the recipe card will be down below. That looks really good, but we're gonna need to wait for it to cool down. While we're waiting, it's a great time to prepare the syrup that will go on the baklava. I have in the pot here about a cup of water, but we'll also need a cup of sugar. We'll bring this to a boil before adding a half cup of honey and a tablespoon of vanilla, keeping these whisked together so that they don't burn. After allowing the syrup to simmer for a sufficient amount of time, we can go ahead and cut the baklava before we spoon the syrup on top of it. I would recommend using cupcake liners to save on the mess. I've removed my first piece and I'm learning these are a little unwieldy, so I'm cutting them one more time diagonally to make them into diamonds. There we have it, and they look delicious. Honestly, I can't wait to eat about 4 of these. As always, we are a channel where we want to learn to cook together, so if you have any recommendations or suggestions for this recipe, I would love to hear it. Some things I've heard are things like adding lemon zest into the syrup, or maybe some nutmeg in with the nut mixture. Try it out and let me know.